What's up YouTube? Welcome back to the channel where today we'll be back working on the 2006 Chevrolet Monte Carlo SS project. But before we get to that, if you like watching salvage rebuilds or you just like cars as much as I do, then be sure you click that subscribe button so you can follow along with everything that goes on here on the channel. So in the previous video on this Monte Carlo SS, we did a walk around and we talked about a lot of the repairs that needed to be made. And those repairs will start today, and we're going to start on the inside of the car with the airbag system. We're going to talk about some of the repairs that need to be made to this system, and we're going to replace some parts. So let's get it started. So it's been a few days, and with those parts sitting around, I just couldn't control myself. So I went ahead and I replaced the hood, and I've got the passenger side headlight sitting in there just to kind of see how things line up. And as you can see, everything lines up pretty good. Now I have washed this car just to kind of take a look at the condition of the paint, and it's really nice and glossy as I expected. It needs maybe a good little buff just to kind of bring out that nice glossy black, but otherwise it's in really good shape. So now we're going to start on the inside of the car today, and I'm going to start by removing the seat belts. And if you look over here, I've already removed the airbag module, and all this stuff's going to get sent off. Both the passenger and the driver's side seat belts are going to be sent off along with the airbag module to be reset. Now what they do is it's a rebuild service, and it's about $40 per belt, and it's actually pretty cheap. So they'll actually rebuild these belts. And if you're not familiar with how these things work, so when you're in a collision in these newer cars, I want to say 05 and up, maybe, they have tensioners in the seat belts. So what happens is when all your airbags go out, your seat belt pulls tension, and what will allow it to happen, you'll see it doesn't retract. See, this belt was actually on the driver and it won't retract. And the passenger one, there was either nobody over here or they didn't have the seat belt on it, and as you can see, it is rubber band tight. We're going to need to pull most of these panels in the back. Hopefully we don't have to do the rear seat, but just these upper and lower panels. Take out a couple bolts, and we can get those things ready to ship off to get rebuilt. So we have the driver and we have the passenger seat belt out. Now it wasn't that hard to take these out. It took about 5 or so minutes each side to do these, and literally you just unclip some panels and you're right to the bolts. And we're going to leave these panels out until we get our seat belts back from the rebuilder, so it'll be easy to install these things. So we have all our parts ready to be sent off to be refurbished. We have our module and our 2 seat belts. Now this service cost around $100. It'll probably take me a week to get these things back, and we'll know that we'll have nice working equipment because this is the stuff that came out of the car and not out of the junkyard. While I'm here on the inside of the car, I'm going to work on this dash area. Now I've showed you this before, and you can see we got the airbag hanging out and we got this dash pad. It's all busted up and blowed out, and this is one of the reasons why I don't like messing with cars that have blown airbags, is this reason right here, because I've noticed that some of these GMs, they're real bad about destroying the dash, and I mean, it's designed to do that. So now we do have a replacement passenger airbag, and we're probably gonna go ahead and get that in, but we need to get all this stuff out of the way because this is just terrible. And there's a plastic panel on the inside here. We need to pop that up. There's some screws behind that, and that'll allow me to take this entire dash cap off, and then we can go ahead and take out our old airbag and get our new airbag in. And here's our busted up dash cap. As you can see, it is not in good shape at all. And it's all cracked up, and it's probably like that before the accident. And this is a common problem with these cars. It's just cheap material, and as you can see, it's terrible. And we've got a replacement for this, and we've got our old airbag here. Another thing I wanted to address here while I was on the inside was I wanted to work on this console area because it was completely filthy, and I removed it and cleaned it, and you can see it cleaned up really well. Now I want to show you guys something else that I found in this car, and this is a rarity, but it does happen. If you see, we do have some money there. It's like a couple dollars. That'll help a little bit with our budget. But you know, if you had something like this right here, that wouldn't happen because this is not going to slip between the cracks. Now this is a slim wallet from Simply Carbon Fiber, and if you look at it real closely, you can see that it is real 100% carbon fiber. And it holds my money, it holds my cards. This thing's really super lightweight, and it's really nice. It's really sturdy, holds your cards nice and tight, holds your money nice and tight. So if you'd like one of these sweet carbon fiber slim wallets, then be sure to head over to simplycarbonfiber.com and the link down in the description box below, and be sure to use my promo code 4lane10 for 10% off your order. And I would like to thank Simply Carbon Fiber for sponsoring this video. Now here's the replacement dash cap. Now, as you can see, I've got some areas clamped here. I've done some gluing. Now, these things are also notorious for separating, the top part separating from the plastic. So I've got that glued down. I'm gonna let that set overnight so it'll be nice and straight, but I think this is going to turn out pretty well. All of our tabs are in good shape. So we're going to go ahead and install the passenger airbag, and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll install this panel. The passenger side airbag is in, it's bolted down, and it's plugged in. The next step is to get this dash cap on, our replacement dash cap. Now let's take a look at it because we had to do a little bit of work there. So here's the replacement dash cap, and it's a pretty common problem that these things kind of separate over time. The vinyl separates from the actual plastic cap, and that's exactly what's happened along in here. And I've glued it down, and it's nice and smooth back where it needs to be. So it's pretty much ready to install. So let's get this thing in. And there you have it. The replacement dash cap is installed and all the trims put back on the dash, and you can see it looks really, really good, and I'm really happy with the way this has turned out. Now this is the area where I had to do a little bit of work of gluing the pad back down, and as you can see, we do still have a little bit of a gap, but what I'll do is I'll come in later on in the project, and I'll come and I'll heat this up with a heat gun, and we can mold this back down and get it back flush. Now looking back underneath the hood, I managed to go to the junkyard, and I picked up this little section here of the headlight bucket. If you look right here, all this stuff's bent. Now this is not so bad. Up in here, it's the worst. As you can see, there's a big kink. So my idea was maybe to get all this straightened out up in here, and we can unspot weld some spots, and we can use some pieces from our bucket here. Now as you can see, this is nice and straight, and so is this piece. And if you flip it over, you'll notice that this one panel here that's directly behind the headlight is literally just spot welded in with maybe what, 10, 12 spot welds, maybe 15 spot welds. So if we unspot weld this panel and we put it in here, it'll help fix most of this damage here, where you can see where I was actually pushing out on the radiator support. The top panel that you have here is obviously in nice shape. We can do some spot welds here and undo the spot welds from the back, and we can section in this top piece. The bottom piece we can probably straighten out. This is actually two layers. This is the top layer and there's a bottom layer. We can actually straighten out that bottom layer, and we can actually section in the top and maybe put a seam somewhere right here and weld it up nice and grind it down, do some body work to make it look real nice. And that way everything will definitely be in the right spot. Now as you look at it right now, it's actually still back and turned down. It's actually still back about, I'm guessing maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. So that's definitely one of the things that we're gonna have to get straightened out, so all this stuff will line up, because right now the headlight is not obviously lining up correct, and the bumper cover is not going to line up because it's got all this broken plastic still behind there. But we have all this. We have pretty much everything that we need right now to put this car back together, except for a windshield, and that's coming. Now I do have to replace the radiator, and that's normally one of the things I would go ahead and do so I could test drive this vehicle. But since I'm doing so much work in this area, I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to work on this area first and get all this squared away before I start digging into the radiator and the fan and all that. So far so good. The parts came in super fast for this car, and we've got our work cut out, but it's not really that much work, and I can't wait to see this thing on the road. With the dash area repaired and the seat belts and airbag modules sent off, that makes the interior of the car sorted for the time being, which means we can move on to repair of the radiator support. So until next time when that repair will begin, I'd like to say thank you for watching. Be sure to check out all my other videos and all my other projects, and if you're not subscribed, be sure you click that subscribe button, click the bell so you'll get the notifications, and you can also follow me on Facebook and Instagram.